So hello guys, in this video we are going to learn how to create a fortune wheel or spin wheel, whatever it is called. If I show you how this works, let's go around here. If I interact with it, it basically spins with a random spin power, and then we get a result. This is just angle and how much or the result is. Black is basically depth in my like spin wheel or fortune wheel. This is light blue. This angle is just for the debug purposes. Again, we got the light blue. Let's see. This is also death. We keep getting black, blue, and other like bigger colors. Actually, we got like 10% sky blue. So this one is only 10%, and we still got that one. So how we can make this? Let me explain. And obviously, you could connect like some other events for like different colors or whatever it is. And let's get started. And let's start making it. Okay. One important thing, I will be providing all of this in my Patreon. There's like so many stuff. There's a spin wheel, there is like check high or low number. There is this like one of it is a bomb. So you could press this. This is also like the bomb one, but these are like made in two different ways. This one is like the different actors, but this one is like one single actor. You could think of it as a single bomb, and maybe this one is like a bit further that you have to, like maybe you have 4 players at further like this. You could use this. This is also the puzzle, where you have to create the icons by just moving, or create the full image by moving one of the stuff. And then this is the match 2. So again, all of this would be provided in my Patreon. In future, I will be making this free on Fab, but for now, until I actually create more of this stuff, I will keep it on my Patreon in the paid category. Okay, so I'm in my tutorial level, which is completely empty, and let's start by first making our spin wheel or like the wheel pie chart. And it's important the way you make the pie chart, and I'll explain why. If you already have it, I'll explain what you need to get from it. So first of all, I will go to a free software called Photopea. You could use Photoshop, and let me explain to you guys what we quickly going to do. So first of all, let's create a circle. Okay, if you already have it, you could use that, but just watch this so that you understand about some values. Now if you check one thing in the original level, you would see that I've named it from the left side like counterclockwise, like 0, 25, 50, 60, 80, instead of going from the right side. Now if you already have something which is like 0, 20, 40 from the right side, it's very easy to convert it in the counterclockwise, just 200 minus that value. So if you have 0, 20, then you have to just do 100 minus 20, and this area would basically be 80. Okay, so if you have already created it, you could actually just get it that way. The reason why we need to use counterclockwise is, if I show you guys the wheel around here, we actually rotate the wheel this way. So you could see, because wheels rotate this way, it doesn't go this way, right? So it's going to rotate this way, and as we go it, 25% of the 360 degree is 90. So if I press 90 in here, we get the 25% like this. If I do 180, we get the 50%, and that is why we go this way when calculating the percentage. So all I simply did was I went into blending options. I went to gradient overlay. This is not how it would look for you guys. Let's say just select like some random one, and if you turn on reverse, it goes reverse like this. But there's another option called stripes in this software. I don't know what it's called in Photoshop or any other software. There's usually like something called constant or something like that, which basically allows to create hard lines like this. But the problem with this is we cannot reverse this. So if I, let's say, do this, it does not reverse, which is kind of annoying. So let's say if this was blue and then I want to set this at 20%, this 20% should actually be around here, right, with like this position. But it doesn't work that way. So if you want to use this, it's very easy to understand what this percentage is going to be. We just have to do 100 minus 20. So this is 80%. If I set this to 65, then it would be 100 minus 65. So whatever it is, and just write the numbers in here or somewhere where you would like remember it, because it's going to be important. If you don't want to do it this way, you could just go and select perceptual. Make sure it's in angle too. Okay, it would not work if you are not in angle. If you do linear, it would not work. Make sure it's in angle. And this one basically works with reverse, with perceptual. but you could say it's smooth, right? We don't want that. How can we get like a hard edge with this one? It's very basic. We can basically take this blue color, let's copy this, create another swatch or like this line, use the same color. So we can say from 0 to 20% be blue. So 0 to 20 it's going to be blue, and then set this color, which is red color, also to be 20. Let's delete this much. Okay, so we get 0 to 20 blue, and then here's red, and if I click here, I can basically set something to be 50. So 20 to 50 it's going to be red, and if I add another color around here, let's add something like this, I don't know, like green color, I would basically set it to 52, like this, 50, and then we get a hard edge. So we got 20, we got 50, and then you could keep adding that way. Next thing is I just created a cylinder, which I did by adding a cylinder like this, shade smooth. When you do shade smooth, you could see it looks weird, right? For now, ignore it. Go into edit mode and scale it in the Z axis like this. Select both edges by pressing Alt, Shift Alt like this. Do Control B to play bevel it, and if you scroll up, we can add like more partitions. If you do Control B and then do like this, we get like nice bevel, and that way it removes the weird shading issue that was happening. And then if you go to the UVs, you can actually select all of this by pressing Control L. To SY, scale it down, and you could place it down like this or place it up wherever you want to. Let's do constraint to image bounds, that way it cannot go outside. And then select one of this to Control L, and then if you move it by pressing Control, you could actually snap it to each other. Do Control L, go in center, scale it up, but actually we need to check with our image. So go to shading, to new, and here we will basically add our image. So I just dragged my image that I had created previously, 0, 25 and all that, and then basically just connect it to the base color. If you go to UVs, we just have to now perfectly make sure that it covers our sphere nicely, or pie chart. If you do a bit mistake like this, like some unalignment, then the values would look weird. Okay, so make sure you are aligning by just going into zooming in and then aligning it properly with it. And you could see this is how it looks. It's not aligned properly, but I'm doing it quickly right now. Now if I enable my move to in Unreal Engine, red color is the front area. Okay, so x-axis is the front, but you could see right now the green axis is been at 0, which means that it is saying y is front. We don't want that. So if you go to edit mode by doing tab, let's go to solid, select all of this and move it 90 degree in Z axis like this. Actually it should be opposite, right? You know what, let's move it manually like this. Okay, now you could see that our x-axis is pointing around here, because in Unreal Engine x-axis is the front one. Once you have done this, make sure this is like 0 0 0 1 1 1. Then you could just export it as FBX. I already have it added in my spin wheel mesh like this. It's just a simple mesh. You could even see that the x-axis is at 0 degree, you could see. And then in your material, just simply add the material that you would have. All I did was added like my texture and added in the base color. You could ignore this. This was something that I was trying to do, like maybe I could create a dynamic one in here, so I didn't do it. I just made the image. Let's add our blueprint, actor, BP, TUT, spin wheel, okay, or whatever you want to call it. First thing first, we will add our sphere, or let's add a static mesh, which is going to be our wheel, and this is going to be your spin wheel. Okay, I will create a text render, and this text render is just for debug purposes. Okay, so let's place it up, make sure it is in center and center. It's not like make sure, but you could actually do it same way. Let's make it 180 and then 90. Yeah, okay, there we go. This text is just for, getting the value. You could just do print string, doesn't have to do this text. Next thing we need is arrow around here. You could do it with, creating a mesh or anything. I'll just use arrow for now. This arrow is not actually for design purposes. From what I know, it's just for debugging, but for quick video like this, it's good enough. Let's do this and let's rotate it fully back like this. Let's place it up. Then we can just turn this into whatever color that we want. Arrow length, arrow size. Okay. So let's create an event called spin wheel like this. Okay. And let's do around here set timer by function name. This is just for, quick debugging purposes. So spin wheel, and we'll do, let's say that after 2 seconds, which is a delayed one, spin the wheel. We are not looping it. We are just spinning it once. So first thing, we'll create a timeline. Let's go down. And the reason we are not using what you call like actual physics rotation, because it would be easy to create for multiplier and all, where you just have to send the value and we basically spin it like the randomized value, how much you want to spin and all. Let's call it spin underscore TL for timeline. Let's double click it, and what we'll do is we'll set this to 1. We'll add a float track, call this at spin alpha. Let's add a key, do 0 and do 0 like this. Now one thing I want to explain to you guys, let's say if I set this to 1 and I press outside, you could see it didn't change. But if I press 1 and then if I press 1 here and then go back to this, it actually sets it. I don't know, it's quite annoying. I hate that. I hate that I cannot just press outside after clicking it. I have to press enter, or I have to just press like this. Okay, so I'm just going to do 0 0 as first, then do add key, and this one is going to be 1 1. Okay, you could see. For now, let's just keep it linear and we'll change it later to make it look a bit organic. Now we will add some configuration to control this, but for now let's just do a simple spin and then we'll keep updating it to make it better. So let's just do play from start. We'll do our SM wheel. If I check this, we have to rotate this one, right? So you could see the third one. We will do set relative location. We are not doing world, okay? We are doing relative. It's relative based to this, like what you call, like this root. We'll do update in here. Let's just split this because we only want to rotate the third one. And we could do a lerp, this lerp like this, the basic lerp. Connect this into alpha. They're like all lerps for everything. Like there are lerp for vector, which we can basically provide for all three, but we only want to do one, so we can reduce the calculation by using just this float. There's also lerp rotator. There is also vinterp2, which is also a different one, but we are just using lerp, which basically means that if I press in here as 360, you remember that we only did from 0 to 1. So as the value goes up like this, it's just going from 0 to 1 in 1 second. And what this basically means is that if it's 0, it's going to be here. If it's 1, it's going to be here, which is 360. So if it's at 0.5, it's going to be half of this one, okay, which is 180. So let's go and put it in the Z like this. And for now, let's just see by adding it and let's see what it does, if it's working or not, so that we can proceed. Let's move it a bit above. Okay, I did something stupid, I believe. Yep, I did relative location. We want to do relative rotation. Let's do split and only provide the Z. And you could see it is spinning, but it's spinning with very like same speed. It doesn't feel organic. So let's go into our spin TL and let's select both our keyframes. Do right click and set this to auto. And once we are around here, we can actually just set it to be up like this. So basically it will go very quickly at start and then slow down at the end. Okay, so that's how it is. Let's do something like this. Again, play with it until it feels organic, but for now it is just 1 second, so it's not going to feel organic. And then we are only rotating for what you call like 360, right? So let's do something like 720, which is like double spin. Let's just see how it would look. So you could see it did feel a bit more organic. We can actually just set this to be a bit up so that it goes slowly. Let's see. Okay. In my original one, this is how I've made. Okay. So it goes like this. So let's also try to make it like this. If you press F, it will basically set it to the shape of, or not shape, the size of your keyframes. Okay, I think that's perfect. Again, it looks a bit weird because it's ending around here, right? So let's just ignore that. We can obviously go around and play with it like with multiple times until it looks good. So there's few things we need to do. First of all, we need to be able to control this pin TL. So right now it is actually moving for 1 second always. So if whenever we create a timeline, we actually get something called a component, which is spin TL. If we drag this in here, we get spin TL. Here we could say set play rate. Now this play rate, we can actually control how long it works. So for example, if we want this timeline to run 2 times as fast, we can do 2. If we do 3 times, it would run for 3 times. Now the reason why I did only from 0 to 1, because if we do this, which is let's promote this and call this as like spin duration. If we do this, let's disconnect it and then we do divide. Let's disconnect this. Let's connect it at the right side. And if I do 1 around here, so 1 divided by our spin duration and place it around here, what happens is that we convert this into seconds. So if right now it is 3 seconds, right? Then it would run for 3 seconds. If I turn this to 5 seconds, it will now run for 5 seconds. If I do for 0.5 or 0.25, it will run for 0.25 seconds. This is like very basic calculation that we can use to convert our spin duration into a play rate, which basically controls how long our timeline would work. So what I basically have done is, in my previous one, what I've done is I went around here. I drag this. If you hold Alt, you could basically just do set instead of clicking right this. If you press Control, you can do get. If you do Alt, you can get set. Let's drag it, place it like this, and let's do random float in range. And what we could say is be a random duration from 1 to 5. Now this one, instead of doing random, you can actually do based on the power too. So maybe if you are creating a game where you have a power system, like how quick, how fast you want to spin it, how slow you want to spin it, you could use this as you could use that slider as a control for the spin duration instead of doing randomization. Now if I do play, you would say it is now spinning very slowly. Let's do again play. Let's try different ones. So you could say it is moving like different speed, but now we have one issue, that is it always stops around here. It always stops at 0. So what we need is we need a random angle. So again, we'll copy this around here and do something like 0 to 360. So from 0 to 360, we'll promote this to extra random angle, something like this, extra random angle. Let's drag it, and let's not drag directly. Now we will add it to the P location. So let's create another one, and it is like spin or total spin angle. Okay, this one should also be float. Let's set this to, let's do plus, or not directly. Let's get an extra random angle to plus. I'll set it in the second pin just for the visual purposes, and we'll say 720 in here. What this 720 means is that it will always spin 2 times at least, and then extra random angle is from 0 to 360, right? So it means that it will spin like 2 and whatever the value it gets. So two full spins, and this one also you can actually control with the power that you create. Like if you want to create like power sliders, then you could also add some stuff around here, and then in here we'll actually place it as the total spin angle. Now one stupid mistake that I had done in previously, I didn't do around here, is last time when I did this, I did something like this, like get relative angle, sorry, rotation, then I did split, and then I did like this, which is I added stuff like this. Don't do that, okay? And then add it around here, because it will keep calculating it every single time it updates. So this one, if you create a bool like a, what you call, like variable at start, these two values are fixed, and that way it should be fixed always, because then it can calculate 0 to 1 based on like this angle and this angle. So now if I do play, we stopped around here. If I do play again, we stopped around there. This is now a lot faster. It stopped around there. And again, you need to play around with this one, because I think it's stopping like way too quickly. So again, make sure to play around with the what you call, with the graph until it looks nicer and doesn't like stops instantly. You could see I'm trying to make this like a final one to be a bit slower like this, instead of directly stopping. Oops. So you could see now it looks that it's stopping slowly, instead of directly just like snapping to stop. See? So it's important that you like zoom in and try to keep it like this, like it's slowing down. One more thing you could do is you could just save this as spin base angle, something like this, and then play around with it until you get something, or whatever you get, whatever, or maybe you change it based on the power and all. Now our next stuff that we need to do is getting the value at which it stopped. You could see that we are actually getting something called total spin angle from here, right? So we are actually storing how much it's going to spin at the end. So what we could do is, when it finishes, we just have to get our total spin angle, and all we need to do is we need to use modulus. So press percentage and then do 360 here. It's like 3 modulus phi is written as 3 divided by 5, which would be like 0, 0, and then the answer would be 3. So in our case, let's say our rotation comes down to 720, like this comes down to 720, then we do modulus 360, then it would basically be 720 modulus 360, like this, and 360 times 2 is 720, and then we'll get 0 degree like this. So whatever is the remainder, we basically get that as the how much angle it is at the finally, or how much angle it's at the final location. You could even do like some random stuff, like 720 plus 80 modulus 360, for which I'm just going to use a calculator. So go into scientific, and then if you go 780 mod 360, we get 60. So it's 60 degree, which is the same as 780 360, which is like long division. Okay, which is probably going to be like 2, which is going to be 720, and the remainder is going to come to 60, which is why we get 60 degree. That way we get the final result. So let's promote this to final result angle, and we do it when it's finished like this. You could even create another event instead of doing it directly in here, but I'm just going to do directly. So because we are already having a total spin angle, we can basically get the result like very quickly, and we are not relying on actual physics. That way, if you had multiplayer game, you just have to provide them that, hey, this is a total spin angle, do this animation, and then the result would be calculated on server, right? But now we get how much degree it is stopping at. But then how do we know where it actually is on our pie chart? So let me drop my pie chart in here. Remember, I said to go counterclockwise, so 0 to 25, like this line is at 25, this line is at 50, this line is at 60, this line is at 80. The math is like very simple. Let me just turn this into, I don't know, like red color. 25%. Okay, so 25%. Actually have a pen. I don't know why I'm not using my pen. I have to connect it. Multiplied by 360. That's going to be our this angle. Okay, so how much is 25 multiplied by 360? Let's do it. Let's go to like basic calculator. Let's do 25 divided by 100, because that's 25%, multiplied by 360. So this angle is basically 90 degree. Okay, this one is obviously going to be 180 degree because it's like straight here. But now this one, let's calculate this, which is going to be 60 divided by 100, which is 60% multiplied by 360. So this angle is 216 degree. So what we simply need to know is our final result angle between 0 to 90? Is it between 90 to 180? Is it between 180 and 216? Is it between whatever it is, and is it between this one? That way we basically get the result. So how can we actually do it in a proper way? For that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a structure. Its very basic structure is nothing but a collection of variables. So instead of creating in here each variable, we can create a structure in here. Let's call it like st angle values, something like this. You could name it properly. I'm just doing it quickly for this video. Let's call it as min angle, which is going to be a type of float. Let's call this as max angle. Again, it's going to be type of float, and then we can do a result. So let's call it as result, which I am going to set as name. Now let's close this, and in our tutorial spin wheel, if I go into variables and add this st angle values or final angle values, whatever you want to call it, angle values, let's drag this. You could see we can actually set these values, but we will have multiple values, right? So we'll convert this into array. You could do like this, or you could just do right click in here. Let's compile, and now we can actually set like multiple of them. So we could actually do something like this. So 0 to 90 we have black. So let's do 0 to 90 black. You could name it anything, like whichever power up you have, or maybe just use the color and then later change it to like check the color and basically choose the power up with that. 90 to 80 I have pink. So I actually added all the values in here. You don't need to create data asset, or you don't need to create data table for this, I think, unless you are making something bigger with like more values. But I think for this one it's like more than enough. Then we will do this one. After getting this result, we will get our st angle value, we'll do for each loop. Let's do execute, let's do for each loop. Then we will get the structure. So we'll get like one of it. So we'll get 0, then 1, 2, 3, all three values. Any structure that you make, you drag the pin and do break like this. Okay, even if you create like single one, you could actually do break like this, and then you get all the variables that are in there. So instead of creating all this min max in here, it's good this way because we can actually create arrays of variables like this. So structure is like very powerful, and we do check this one from greater equal to. So is our select in the second pin, is our final result angle, which is this one, our final result angle, is it equal to or greater than the minimum angle? Okay, and then for the max angle, we will not do equal to, we will do less than. So this is greater than equal to, and this is not equal to, less than only, because we cannot do equal to both of them, else the calculation would glitch if it stops at, like, let's say at perfectly 90 degree. Then both of these conditions are going to be weird. Let's drag this in the second pin, and let's copy this around here. Let's place it like this so it's less pins. Okay, so we check this and then we do AND boolean, which means if both of these conditions are true, then we could do a branch by pressing B. Just drag this or search for branch. If both of these conditions are true, then we can basically get this result. I think I've set this to name, right? It can be text or string. I think text would have been better instead of name in my, like, this one, but I'm just going to keep it name, else I'll have to go and set each one of them like manually again. So we can just get our text render, set text. Let's do if this is true. We can set this as a text. I don't know if it will work automatically. Let's see. Let's do play. We got the sign. We can also do is we can do format text and basically do angle, and in curly brackets we type angle, close curly brackets, do space and do result, curly bracket open. So I just did like angle in curly bracket and angle in result, and we get these 2 pins. I could just drag this in result, and then I could just get my final result angle and add it in here in the angle. That way we get like angle this one, and result is this one. If I do play now, we get 100.5, result is pink. Result is black, and this is the angle. The result is red, and that way we get basically a spin wheel, and we also get the result, and basically you could use that last result string to do some action, like is it equal to this one, then do this action and all. I'm not going to show how to create the interact system. There are like already so many videos with like line trace,